What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. As you can tell by the title, I have answered all of your questions from Instagram. I asked you all earlier today what you wanted to know about prison, if you had any prison questions for me, and I got so many. You guys always come through with the questions, so I'm gonna break all of that down for you and answer all of your juiciest questions about prison. What do we feel about this backdrop? I know it kind of looks like a green screen. It is not a green screen because they are so difficult to use. You have to put them upright, you have to light them perfectly, otherwise it looks crazy. I hate them. I hate green screens. So tell me what you guys think about this backdrop. Do we like the color? Do we like the red more? Let me know what you think. I also have another backdrop that I'm gonna put up too, so stay tuned. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first question. How do people celebrate birthdays in prison? It's a really good question. So in prison, the day is exactly the same. You can't celebrate your birthday. It's not like staff is like, oh, Kent, it's your birthday. Happy birthday, round of applause. No, the day is exactly the same. Every day is the same. But at the end of the day, a lot of people, not always, some people choose not to celebrate, but a lot of the times people would come together and make a meal for their friend, and if it was their birthday, they would make nachos or a log or a brick or a burrito or any of the recipes that you guys have seen me make before, cooking in that bag and making like a big spread for everyone. There's a lot of different names for that. So yeah, they would make a meal and then they would make cake. So whatever kind of cake that person liked, whether it was cheesecake, chocolate cake, or fudge, or whatever. So yeah, they would celebrate in their own little way. Will you do an interview with a fellow prison friend on this channel? Yes, I definitely have friends that I have been still in contact with after prison that are doing really well. So yeah, I can definitely do that. I really want to do it for the podcast at least. Oh, if you didn't know I have a podcast, it's linked down below. Okay, which books did you read in prison? Oh, anything and everything I can get my hands on. Anything. There was a time in my prison bids that I just wanted to read legal books and legal material. So I would read anything I can get my hands on. If I could get a series, like, even if it was kind of like lame, even if it was like Twilight, I would read all of them, only because I liked having like a series. So I knew that if I was gonna get done with this book, I had another book to follow up with it. So I liked books that I could like binge. So I've read every kind of book series that you have seen in a movie. I've read tons of what other people say are boring legal books. I've read every John Grisham book, every Hunter Thompson book, every, there's so many, you guys. Anything that I could get my hands on, I would devour. Okay, can you get at least ibuprofen if you are in severe pain? Yes, you have to pay for it, but yes, you can get ibuprofen. Do you miss someone you have met in prison? Yes, I do. I met a few lifers that I definitely miss, and I think about to this day. When someone's serving a life sentence, it is very difficult to serve a life sentence, I would imagine. Obviously, I am not serving a life sentence, but they're just, those people that have been to prison 20, 30, 40 years, they have a different outlook on life. And a lot of the times they want to share the wisdom they've learned over the years with someone. And I have had a lot of really deep and meaningful conversations with women that were serving life in prison. There were some times where I didn't agree with why they were serving life in prison, like victims of domestic violence that killed their husband. I've met a lot of people in that situation. So, you know, there were a lot of things that I didn't understand about a lot of people that I've met serving life. Other times I did agree with the sentence, but it's something that is very different to see. You know, they just walk differently after they've been there for 30, 40 years. That's their life. And I was always very interested in speaking with lifers because they usually have a very different outlook on life, and they usually want, not always, they usually want to stop seeing you go back to prison. I have met a lot of them that are just, they don't like short timers. They don't like to see people come and go because they would do anything for that chance to get out of prison. And when they see people continuously coming back to prison, it just hits them hard, you know, because I've gotten many chances, and in a lot of cases, one mistake led to a life sentence. So yeah. Is there someone that gives you a runaround of how things work, or did you just have to figure it out? So the prison staff knows that if you're a first timer, you don't know what to do. They will tell you what to do. Don't you worry if you're going to prison and you don't know what to do. There is someone that will tell you what to do. They yell for everything, you know, chow call, which it's difficult to, when you're brand new and you've never been to a jail before, it's difficult to understand what they're saying because these dorms are massive. You know, they're like huge gymnasiums. So when an officer opens the door and yells, chow call, it echoes. And if they're country, I didn't understand them, right? So it took me some time to understand a Southern accent. So not only did I have a hard time in the South, like hearing it, but it echoed as well. So I was like, there was even one correctional officer in the county jail that kept saying my name for mail. And, you know, I was just sitting in the day room and she's like, can't. And I guess apparently she said it so many times, like so many days in a row. And she finally walked up to me. She's like, are you can't? And I was like, what? And she said it again, like, are you Kent is what she's asking. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. And she's like, I've had your mail. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't understand you. But I love Southern accents. It was just difficult to understand them at first. So I don't know if that answers your question. There are certain facilities that have like an intake barracks. So you'll sit there until you're classified. That could take a couple of weeks. And then the people in the intake barracks will like tell you what to do. And they'll tell you that there's a schedule posted and you can put in to go to medical and they'll just give you the ropes. I feel like, yeah, okay. I feel like I answered that. Did prison affect your mental health at first? Did you feel defeated? Like first getting locked up? I didn't have the knowledge of mental health or the verbiage in me to know that what I was experiencing was PTSD. I just didn't understand. So it did affect my mental health, but I wasn't aware of that until much later, until I had been coming and going a few times, you know what I mean? So yeah, it did, but I didn't know at first what was going on. I didn't even really understand that I battled with depression. I just thought I was sad as hell sometimes and it was hard to pull myself out of it. I didn't really understand how that worked, if that makes sense. So yes, it did, but I didn't understand and start to heal until many years later. How many sets of underwear does an inmate typically have in prison? 3. 3 pairs of underwear, 3 pairs of socks, 1 pair of long johns, 3 uniforms, a hat sometimes, a jacket and gloves if you're serving time in New York, those upstate greens, and yeah, that's it. And what is it? 1 set of sheets? 1 set of sheets, 2 blankets. Yeah. What is the best snack you could buy on commissary? I don't know. I mean, I'm a big chip person, but I also love chocolate. Have you ever been hit on by other female inmates? Yes. Yes. How is body hair grooming in prison? Ooh, you can buy razors on commissary in certain facilities. In other facilities, you have to sign out a razor, and then you can use it, and then you have to throw it away in front of the correctional officer, and you have to show them the blade, and then you can put them in the little like hazard bin or whatever. Every facility is different, but you can shave your legs and your other bits in prison. What do you do if you get arrested with acrylics on? How do you take them off in jail? Ooh, girl. Through pain? No, you have to just let them grow out a little bit, and then you can actually take one of the floss loops that you can buy in commissary and put floss in between your nail and pull it off. Or you can just rip them off like an OG would do, you know? It sucks. There may be a video I didn't see, but can you tell us what it's like giving birth in prison? Yes, that video is always linked down below. How much money do you need in prison to survive? I actually did a video on that also, and I will link it down below. Are children allowed to visit relatives in prison? You're awesome. Thank you. Yes, that's up to the family and the parents' discretion if they want to bring a child into a prison for visits, but yes, they can. Were there many female guards? If so, were they more lenient? That's a really interesting question. In my experience, hell no. In my experience, female officers were a little bit more aggressive than male officers because they had to just kind of prove that they were tough, prove that people couldn't walk all over them, and it was just different. So out of all of the female correctional officers that I have met in my time, I've only met one, maybe two, that were lenient and understanding and kind, if that makes sense. A lot of female correctional officers, they have to prove that they're tough, which it shouldn't be that way, but it is what it is. So, and there were not that many female correctional officers in female prisons, and I know that seems crazy, but the majority of correctional officers in female prisons are men. Did you have any relationships while in prison? I always get asked this. I am heterosexual. I've never had a homosexual relationship. So no, I did not, but I did have a relationship with my ex-boyfriend, and I was a prison girlfriend. But while I was in prison, no. Which did you like better, the open area beds or individual cells? Individual cells all day, because at least you get some privacy. You're only pooping in front of one person, you know what I mean? Individual cells all day long. I really, really, really did not like open dorms, because as you can imagine, living with 50 women with 50 different personalities and 50 different crimes and 50 different mental illnesses because we all damaged, it's not good. It's just not good. So it was very difficult to live with that many women and share a small bathroom with that many women. Yeah, so individual cells all day, all day. Were you allowed to go to the washroom anytime you wanted? Washroom. Do you mean shower? I'm guessing this person is not American. If you mean shower, no. Sometimes they were locked. In certain facilities I was in, you could not go to the shower during the day, and it was open certain times. In other facilities, it was open, but they didn't really like you back there behind the shower curtain during those hours. So every facility is different. If you mean laundry room, no, you can't just go wherever you want to go, like in Wentworth or even Orange is the New Black. They're just free roaming around, walking around, you know, they're just going to the chow hall or medical. They're just everywhere, the rec yard. They can come and go as they please. That is not how it is. There are certain times for every single thing. Certain times for chow, certain times for work detail, laundry, certain times for showers, certain times for library. So yeah, you can't just walk around, and there are doors you have to be buzzed through everywhere you're going. So yeah, you can't like run somewhere really quickly unless every single door was open, and I promise you it won't be. Most important thing prison taught you. Oh, that's hard. Prison taught me how strong I am, because you don't know how strong you are until being strong is the only thing you can do. Prison taught me the need to slow down and reflect and be self-aware. There were a lot of lessons I learned while I was in prison, but if I didn't take that time to learn those lessons, I wouldn't have learned them. I really used my last prison sentence as a time of self-reflection and as a time to really take a good, long, hard look in the mirror. I really took that time to figure out what kind of a person and what kind of a mother I wanted to be. Are there any music, art activities in prison, like choir, art class, or photography? No, but that would be really cool if there was like a music class or an art class, even photography. That's epic. No, never. I have never seen that anyway. I don't know if that has happened in some prisons, but I've never seen an art class or anything like that. Is it cold in prison? Girl, it is cold in the winter and hot as hell in the summer. So don't break the law. Can you show us how to make a DIY tampon? Do you guys really want to see that? I don't want young girls to watch that and think that they can make them, because it's very unsafe. That's why I haven't done it yet. But if you guys really want to do that, maybe I'll put it on my Patreon page. I just really don't want, you know what I'm saying? Like young girls that have just started their cycle to see that and be like, oh, I can just make my own. You know what I'm saying? So, I've just been hesitant to do that. So I don't know. Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you guys really want that video, I'll film it and put it on Patreon. What is the average time the inmates stay in jail until they are given a prison sentence? That ranges all the way from 3 to 6 months to 1 to 2 years, depending on what it is you're fighting. If you're fighting a murder case, we're talking years that you have to wait if you don't have bail or you can't make bail. So, you know, I've seen people like myself come through on a parole violation, and you know, I'm through the system in a few weeks, but if you're fighting a new case, it can take months. The fastest I've ever seen someone come in with a new case and be sent to prison, 4 months maybe. It is faster in New York than it is in the South. So in Arkansas, it took me 6 months, but I was fighting my case and I turned down a couple of different pleas. My friend Jason, who had a federal case, it took him about 15 months to get to prison, and he was a habitual offender, had been through the process many times, but if your case is federal, it takes a lot longer. Is it easy to hide things in prison? It is if you are a professional. Yes and no. Yes, it is, but the more officers find hiding spots, the more hiding spots you have to find, if that makes sense. So while yes, it is easy to hide things from an inmate standpoint, if the officers keep finding your hiding spots, either in the open areas or in your cell, you have to keep coming up with new creative ways to hide certain things. So yes and no. Are there talk or support groups? Kind of. You could go to NA or AA, and that would be like a volunteer would come in once a week for AA or NA. A lot of times the slots were pretty full and it was difficult to go to them. Not always. I mean, there were certain facilities that were smaller and I could go. I could go whenever I wanted to go. As far as like support groups, not as often as you'd think. Mental health would run certain group sessions, like for self-harm or you know, certain very specific things. But I didn't see it often. I only saw it, you know, maybe 1 or 2 times. So a lot of times they would create support groups, and then some of the women that were being kept apart were able to come together, and then there would be fights or what have you. So it's tricky managing a compound of 3 to, you know, 5,000 inmates. Certain inmates have to be kept apart for certain reasons, and I can make a whole video on that if you guys want me to, but a lot of the support groups were shut down for a lot of different reasons. So yeah. Do you have to pay taxes in prison? No, because you're not making money unless you have work release, and those slots are pretty rare, and females don't get work release as much as males do. So I guess you're gonna pay taxes if you're in work release because that's technically a job, but if you're not earning an income, you're not gonna pay taxes, right? So no. If you were in there for life, can you go to an OBGYN? You can have a yearly checkup. There is a doctor there if you need something or if something is wrong, but you can have a yearly checkup from the OBGYN, I believe. I'm pretty sure. Did you ever see people crying from being so scared? I did. That happened more often in county jail because it's like a complete shock. And I saw a lot of women come in crying, terrified, shocked that they can't get a tampon. I mean, it's a lot when someone that has never been to jail before comes into jail. That's difficult and it's emotional and they are scared. So yes, I have seen females come through crying, upset, terrified, shocked at the conditions in which you have to live. So yeah, it is difficult for people that have never gone through that before. And I think everyone should spend a night in jail. Just one time, just to see what it's like before they form such harsh opinions about prison reform. Just my opinion. How do prisons handle medication? So the same way that like nursing homes do. They have a med cart and it's locked up at all times, and inmates will have to line up for med call. You line up for everything. There's just lines forever in prison, and one by one you come up and you take your pill, and they have to make sure that you swallowed your pill, and then you can go back to your unit, and it's usually pill calls like 3 times a day or something. How long would it take you to collect all ingredients for cooking in prison? You buy it on commissary. Commissary is once a week. If you do not have money being sent to you from the street, I would have to hustle. So I didn't have a lot of money. I would do eyebrows, I would trade contraband for certain things, I would pass kites if I needed to, which was a letter from one inmate to another. So I had a lot of different hustles that I would do in prison. So yeah, I would hustle them. Like, okay, you want me to do your eyebrows? I'm gonna need 2 soups and a bag of chips, or whatever it was that I needed. So if my hands were really cut open and bleeding from doing eyebrows, which would happen all the time, my hands were always so dry and the string would cut open my fingers, I would charge a little bit more. How do people respond to someone who says they're innocent? Usually with an eye roll. A lot of people say they're innocent in jail, or they say they didn't do it, or their boyfriend did it, or, you know, a lot of people place blame on others. I did meet a lot of people that said they were innocent and usually were like, that sucks. But you don't think about it too hard, because I'm sure some people are innocent. I'm sure they are. But you hear it so often that you're just like, meh. You know what I mean? You don't really think about it too much. And like I said earlier, I've met people that I 100% believe are innocent, that I believe shouldn't be serving life in prison for killing someone, that their husband that was beating them for 2 decades. You know what I mean? That was hard for me to see. That was hard for me to see. But I have been lied to by an inmate before that said that she didn't do what she did. And then when I got out, I was actually able to find the police report. There's a whole story time about that. I just haven't been ready to share it because I thought that person was my friend. So anyway, did your kids know that you were in prison? P.S. Love your channel. P.S. I love you for saying that. Yeah, my kids know that I went to jail. I think it's important to have an open household and we talk about our past mistakes. I think it's important to talk about addiction, prison, and mental health as long as it is age appropriate. But I want my kids to know they can come to me with anything. So sharing my past with them has been, not the little one, she's 3, but sharing my past with my oldest daughter has been something that I think is really important. Do you regret going to prison? Not really, no. I've been able to turn something that was so negative and so awful and turn it into something positive. You know, I don't regret it, especially my last bid, because I learned a lot. It saved my daughter's life. It changed mine. I don't regret prison. And I'm grateful for that time that I had off the street and sober. Do you think prison is an effective deterrent? Not usually, no. Prison is like a war zone, flooded with drugs and chaos and drama and negativity. So no, I don't think prison is a good deterrent. Maybe it is for some, but those of us that have been through it before, we see it for what it is, corrupt and wrong, and there's no rehabilitation going on behind those walls. If you want to change your life, it's up to you. You're not going to learn anything in a prison class that will change your life. That's just me speaking from my personal experience and the experience that I've seen, you know, in my life with other friends that I've known. You have to decide that you're going to change your life. You can decide to do your time like a criminal, or you can decide to do your time wisely and learn about yourself and prepare for the street. So, yeah. I don't think prison is a deterrent for drug addicts. I think prison is an important part of our society. I think violent criminals absolutely need to go to prison. I think drug addicts need treatment, and I'm very firm on my belief in that. If you save money up from working in prison, do they let you take it upon release? Yeah, like if your family is sending you money or you actually have a job that pays you money, yes, you can. The prison will write you a check and you will take that check with you when you leave prison. Do people have pets like flies or other weird animals? Yes, they do. I've seen women try to keep all kinds of things, from a frog to a cricket, so yes. Do you think women become more focused on beauty in prison than when they go in? Not more than usual. I mean, sometimes we want to look good, sometimes we have visits, sometimes we just want to feel better about ourselves. So it is good for sometimes it is good for our mental health to put a little bit of makeup on and feel like a normal person, especially behind those walls, because you already don't feel like a person. You feel like a number. So it's very degrading. It's very dehumanizing to go through that process. So yeah, I don't know if that answers that question. Did the different jobs get paid different wages? I did not make money. I don't know why. This is a very common question. I never got paid for any job I did in prison. Not field squad, not laundry, not kitchen, never. I never made a penny from working 12-hour days in prison. Never, not one time. You have to have a specific job in work release to earn money while you're in prison, from the prison. Other than that, your family has to send you money so that you can buy food and hygiene, or you have to hustle for it. So yes. I feel like I said that very harshly, but I'm just like, you guys are always asking me that. And I'm like, no. You don't earn money unless you're in federal prison. In federal prison, you earn money for the jobs that you have. In state prison, the jankiest of all prisons, you earn nothing. Nothing. Zip. Zero. Nada. Did you do any fun activities in prison? Does leaving prison count? That was a fun day. Yeah, I mean, you can play volleyball, I guess, basketball. I'm like solid with a 3-pointer. You know what I mean? I can shoot hoops pretty well. Playing on a team, not really my forte. Introvert, but yeah. Do you think you'll ever run out of things to say about prison? No. No, we're going strong with like 200 videos, so no. And you guys help me remember things. You guys ask me questions and that helps me with content, so no, I don't think I'm ever gonna run out of things to say. What did you do to pass time in prison? You do not sit around all day in prison. That's county jail. In prison, you have to go to work. You have to have, you go to chow, you go to work, you go to the rec yard. There's a bunch of things to do, read a book, write a letter. It's busy. Prison runs like a little city, so you're not just sitting around doing nothing, usually. Usually, we'll just say that. I don't want to confuse you guys. Are there kids in prison, like 15, 16-year-olds? By the way, I love you and your channel. In a lot of cases, they'd be in a different center, a juvenile detention center, but I have seen 17-year-olds in prison. I was one of them. Were there a lot of race, ethnicity, exclusion cliques where you did time? Did we separate ourselves by race? I had friends from all different races, and I never felt like I couldn't be friends with them. So it is different in a female prison than it is a male prison. I definitely know a lot of guys that said they couldn't associate with a different race, which sucks because in my opinion, there is only one race, the human race. So, How nasty are the toilets? Is pretty bad. And how hard and awkward is it to poop in front of everyone? Like your first 2 weeks in jail, maybe you're like, oh, I don't even poop. After that, you like don't even care. It is what it is. We all have to go, get over yourself and go poop. If you have food allergies, gluten, dairy, soy, etc., are you accommodated for in prison? If you're allergic to soy, and you go to New York prison, they serve soy meat, so I don't really know how that would work. I think you're accommodated for, kind of. I don't have any of those problems. If you're allergic to dairy, just don't drink the milk, you can drink water. There aren't a lot of those things anyway in prison. What is Christmas like in prison? It's like any other day. Except we might get like a cinnamon bun or something for breakfast. Are there food options for people who are vegetarian or vegan? Yes, but in New York you get soy meat, so. Would you rather do a year in county or a year in prison? Oh my God, a year in prison all day. County jail time is stagnant. You just sit there, you don't do anything. You know what I mean? Like a year in county, that seems like hell. A year in county is hard time. I know that seems opposite, but like prison's way better than county jail. What happens if women or men have piercings? Do they take them out or let them stay? You taking everything out, everything. You got a piercing, take it out. Got a tampon in, gotta take it out. Like everything. You have to take everything off, everything. Every little piece of jewelry, every little piece of everything. And if you have a stud implanted in your face, good luck. How many inmates are actually interested in programming? A lot of the times they're not interested in it at all. They just want to take the program to get time reduction. Does prison feel like quarantine in a way? Absolutely not. I'm in my house. This does not feel like prison to me whatsoever. No, and I hate that comparison because prison is a fucking awful place and I love my home, so no. Nope, not even a little. Okay, last one, because I feel like we've been here for a while. What is your worst memory from prison? Giving birth to my daughter. It was the hardest thing for me ever. It was absolutely the most traumatizing and the most difficult thing for me. that I have ever experienced in my life. Hopefully I answered most of your questions. I know there were so many that I didn't get to. Maybe we can make this a part 2. I love you guys. Stay safe, stay sober. Please do not break the law. I'll answer your prison questions. You don't have to go find out. Bye, you guys.